They told you to just act normal, so you did. You tried to laugh at jokes that didn't make sense. You forced eye contact even when it burned. You mimicked the way they walked, talked, smiled, thinking maybe if you blended in just enough, the noise inside you would finally stop. But it didn't. You felt fake, and worse, you felt invisible. Because every time you edited yourself, every time you dimmed your truth to match someone else's comfort zone, you were teaching the world to love a version of you that doesn't even exist. And here's the most brutal part. They didn't notice. You gave everything just to feel accepted. And in return, you got silence. Sideways glances, labels that stung like too much, too quiet, too sensitive, too intense. You spent years thinking being different was the problem, but it never was. The real problem was this. You were trying to survive in a world that only rewards masks. A system built to fit the loudest, the fastest, the most adjusted. And in that system, the ones who feel deeper, think slower, or move differently get crushed. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to stop betraying yourself just to belong.
You weren't born thinking something was wrong with you. That idea was installed. It started small. Maybe a teacher who told you to speak up in front of the class while your throat closed. A parent who panicked every time you cried. Friends who laughed at how you moved or how your voice sounded when you got excited about something they didn't care about. So, you shrank. You swallowed your reactions, edited your joy, and blurred your uniqueness into something more normal, because survival demanded it. And slowly, you began confusing fitting in with being loved. But let's get honest. Most people aren't rejecting you. They're rejecting your discomfort. Your difference is a mirror they don't want to look into because it reminds them of what they buried in themselves. You show up with raw truth, and it terrifies the polished masks around you. It's not your weirdness that pushes them away. It's your realness, and that's the wound. Not being different, but being forced to believe that your difference was a defect, a flaw, something to be smoothed out, fixed, worked on, like a malfunctioning part. The tragedy? You believed it. You started wearing roles instead of living your life. You turned hyper-aware. You became the best at scanning a room, reading the air, morphing into what was needed. And for a while, it worked. You got praise, smiles, maybe even friends. But you lost yourself. Now there's a gap between the mask and the soul, and it hurts. Every time you say, "I'm fine," when you're breaking inside, every time you nod when your body screams no, every time you act okay just to keep the peace, that's not healing. That's silent self-erasure. And no amount of faking it will ever make you feel truly safe. Because when you wear a mask to be loved, you'll always fear the moment someone sees beneath it. So here's a secret no one told you. Your healing starts the second you stop apologizing for who you are. You don't need fixing. You need space. Space to be the version of you that doesn't shrink, doesn't flinch, doesn't wait for permission to feel. But that kind of space doesn't come from the outside, not at first. You won't find it in other people's approval. You won't find it in the next self-help book or morning routine, because most of those things are still built around one quiet message. Change yourself, then you'll be enough. That's backwards. The truth? You were already enough before you ever tried to be. The problem is, no one ever let you believe that. You're not too intense. The world is too numb. You're not too quiet. The world is too loud with the wrong things. You feel everything because you're alive, and most people are just pretending to be. But it's dangerous to feel in a world that rewards numbness. So you adapt. You hide. You start to think your softness is weakness. Your honesty is awkward. Your empathy is embarrassing. But your softness is your shield. Your honesty is your clarity. Your empathy is your superpower. The real tragedy isn't being misunderstood. It's starting to believe
waking up
they're
tomorrow
right.
and deciding
That maybe you
just
are
once
broken.
not to
That maybe
filter
you
your
do
thoughts
need
to
to
make
change.
someone else comfortable.
But here's the
not
reality.
to force a laugh
The
when
world
you're not
doesn't
amused.
need more
not to
normal.
wear the
It
costume
needs
of
people like
okay
you,
just
people
because
who
it keeps
notice,
things smooth.
people who care,
What would that even
people who
feel
see.
like?
So
Liberating?
stop calling it a
Terrifying?
flaw.
Both?
Your anxiety,
Here's what
it's
they
not
don't
a
tell you.
weakness, it's an
Authenticity
alarm
is
telling you
violent at
the
first.
environment
It
is
shakes the room.
unsafe.
It breaks
Your
patterns.
introversion,
It
not
makes
a
people
deficiency,
uncomfortable,
it's a
especially
boundary,
the ones who benefited
a form
from your
of
silence.
wisdom. You're
But it also
overthinking,
attracts
that's your
something rare.
brain trying to
Real
protect
connection,
you, not ruin
real
you.
peace, real
What if you
respect?
stopped fighting these
Because the
parts
more
of
you
yourself
contort
and
yourself
started
to be
listening
liked,
to them?
the more you train
What if the
people
goal
to only
wasn't to be
tolerate
accepted,
your performance,
but to accept
Deep
yourself
down,
so
you know it.
deeply that
That's why you
external
feel so
validation
drained
becomes
after social
irrelevant?
events. Why certain relationships feel like acting gigs. Why you're surrounded, yet constantly feel alone. You're not crazy. You're not antisocial. You're starving for a place where you don't have to perform. And you won't find that place until you create it within yourself. You do that by ending the war against your own wiring, the war against your needs, the war against your emotions. You start asking better questions, not why am I like this, but what is this part of me trying to protect? You stop labeling your reactions as flaws and start seeing them as data. You stop hiding your tears and start honoring what they mean. You stop begging for belonging and start building a life so honest, it automatically filters out the wrong people. Because if you keep choosing comfort over truth, you'll keep bleeding in places you're too afraid to leave. And eventually, you'll become a stranger to yourself, a ghost built from everyone else's expectations. That's not life. That's self-abandonment. And you've done enough of that already.
Somewhere deep inside you, there's still a voice, a raw, untouched version of you that never learned how to lie. It's the child who laughed too loudly, the teen who asked too many questions, the person who felt too much and never quite learned how to shut it off. That voice is still there. You've just buried it under years of survival. You silenced it every time someone rolled their eyes when you spoke. You ignored it when people told you, "You're too emotional, too sensitive, too intense." You locked it away because it made people uncomfortable, because it made you uncomfortable, how much it wanted to feel, to scream, to love without asking. But that voice, it's the only thing that's ever been true. And if you're going to live, actually live, you have to let that voice speak again. Even if it shakes, even if people leave, even if it burns everything that was built on your silence. Because what's the point of a peaceful life if it costs you your soul? You've tried shrinking. You've tried blending in. You've tried perfecting the mask. And still, the loneliness found you. What haven't you tried? Radical self-loyalty. The kind where you choose yourself, even if no one else claps for it, even if the room gets quiet, Even if you're misunderstood, misread, mislabeled, that's the trade-off for authenticity. You lose the fake comfort, but you gain your real life. So if you're waiting for someone to finally tell you, you're allowed to stop performing now, this is it. You are. You always were. You just forgot. And now you remember.